What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to go over 10 tools that you must have as a DIYer or handyman. Let's get started. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go over these 10 tools in no particular order. I'm gonna start off with the impact driver. This is honestly probably my favorite tool out of all of them. It's super small. Use it for tons of jobs. It's really great for mounting TVs because you get that extra torque up there. But I also use it where I can just drill out pilot holes or also put on different socket attachments. And this thing is probably my favorite just because it is one of the most versatile and used every day. You can get different battery systems. So this one is a little bit smaller. So I like that one just because it fits in my tool bag a little bit better. So that's gonna be my first tool. That if you're a DIYer, you gotta have some type of good drill. It doesn't have to be at the wall, but spend a little bit extra money and get a good impact driver. Going down the list, my second favorite, or number 2 on the list, is gonna be this MultiTool from DeWalt. Reason why I'm putting this as number 2, it's kind of the same thing. I use this tool a lot. It works really great for cutting through wood or drywall, metal, all different kinds of objects, and it's kind of one of those tools where you really can't live without it. You're gonna eventually need to get one. And the cool thing about this is it also takes the same battery as my impact driver. So I got a few of those. And so when I'm at a job, I don't really have to fumble around with different batteries and dealing with charging. And I use this all the time, especially for electrical or just little one-off projects where you need to chop a bolt off or something. So another great tool from DeWalt. I paid, I think it was $86 on Amazon. So great tool. All right, so number 3 on the list. I really like this tool. That's why I'm going with number 3. This is the hammer drill by Bosch. It's Bulldog Extreme. I don't use this tool all the time. I have used it on several occasions and it always works really well, especially for those smaller, maybe 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch holes where you're drilling into concrete or brick. And it is corded, so you got a ton of power and you got some different settings here. This thing I don't really love. It's supposed to adjust your drill length, but it's a little cheap. But everything else about this drill is just really great. And you're gonna need one eventually. Whether you're putting in a pergola that you need to bolt down to the concrete or some type of fence. Yeah, this thing is a great tool. Again, Amazon, I tried to buy a lot of this stuff at Home Depot, but they're just charging way more than Amazon. So I got this, I think it was about $169, and great value, great option. Number 4 on my list, I'm gonna go with an angle grinder. And this isn't my favorite brand by any means for these different types of power tools, but I've had this a while. I've used it on many occasions, and it's corded. So not super convenient. If and when this goes out, I'm actually gonna upgrade this to a battery powered, and I'll figure out which brand at that point in time. But you do need to get yourself an angle grinder. This is gonna work for cutting through metal and different jobs where that multi-tool, it's gonna work a lot faster. So, and you get a lot more torque with the cord, but I just happen to like the battery powered. So I am gonna eventually swap this out, probably for a DeWalt or maybe a Milwaukee, but you do need to get yourself an angle grinder if you're doing handyman work or DIY. And you could get these for as cheap as like $60. So another great tool. And I haven't had any issues with this Ryobi, so if you're curious, it does work. Next, I'm gonna go with the circular saw. This one, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I have not used it yet. This was given to me by my dad, and I have a job coming up where I'm gonna need a circular saw. And the one that I have is also another cheap one that he gave me. And this one's just a little better because it's a bigger blade. So I will have to get back to you on this, but you're gonna need some type of saw as a DIY handyman. So I would say if you're gonna spend the money, I would go with a big name brand. I would get maybe you get a DeWalt. Skill Saw makes good stuff. So get yourself a saw, go with the 7 1/4 to start out with. And you know, if you need something smaller, you can get smaller, but anything bigger than that, you're probably just gonna be using a chop saw or a miter saw. So, but yeah, get yourself a circular saw. I'm gonna use this one next week, so we'll see how it performs. Hopefully gets me through the job. All right, next, get yourself a sander, palm sander. I used this quite a bit recently. I had to do some fascia repair, and this one fits in your hand really nice. So I do like that. Actually borrowing this right now because I didn't own one and I wasn't sure I wanted to buy one, but you know, it takes the batteries that I already have. So, and this got me through the job. I mean, it was a little slow. I thought that this was gonna pull it off better, but that might just be the sandpaper. But it did work, so it did get me through that job, and it was pretty comfortable to use, and it didn't really burn through the battery too quickly. So get yourself a sander. You're eventually gonna need it. It's the same thing. It's one of those tools where there's certain projects you're just not gonna be able to sand by hand, and these little, you know, palm sanders are great. So I don't know what this one costs because I'm borrowing it, but I'll probably pick one up soon. I might even get a slightly nicer one, but get yourself a palm sander. All right, next on the list, this is a Jigsaw by DeWalt, given to me by my dad. I actually have yet to use this, so that's why it's brand new. So I know some of you were saying, you know, I see in the comments on my videos and other videos that your tools look brand new. Well, yeah, this one is literally brand new. I've never used it. So we'll see how it performs. But I know a lot of people, you know, use these types of tools for different jobs. And I've seen them on YouTube that they're using these jigsaws for these different projects where, you know, it's the preferred saw. So I put it on there on my list just because I think it is pretty versatile, and I think it will come in handy for some jobs in the future. But again, I have almost no experience with this, but looks pretty sweet, and I do look forward to trying it out. And it's DeWalt, takes the same battery, so, you know, great value there as well. All right, that kind of covers the power tools. Actually, hold that thought. Follow me. I almost forgot, you guys. Got one more tool you gotta have, and this is a Makita chop saw. What size? What do we got? I think this is a 10. Yeah, it's gotta be a 10. Great tool. You're gonna use this on a lot of jobs. If you're gonna get a saw like this, you honestly be better off getting a 12-inch miter. You're gonna be able to do a lot more with it. But if you're trying to save a little money, you know, you don't got any extra money and you're just trying to get through some projects or jobs, then you could definitely go with something like this. And I just got this little saw stand from DeWalt, and this thing's pretty cool, to be honest. I'm taking this out to the job next week to test it out, but that's not part of the video. The saw is, and this little Makita is really old. It's my dad's, and he really likes it, but he has a miter saw now, so he let me have this, and I've definitely used it a few times. Gonna be using it a heck of a lot more, and it is a great tool, and you can just, you know, store it in the close position as well to kind of keep it safe and from bouncing around. All right, so the last two items I have on this list, must-haves, especially this one. You're gonna need some type of long level for all your mounts, whether it's a fence post, TV, picture frame, art, mirrors. So get yourself a long level. The reason why I went with this one, I mean, number one, it was cheap. So if I lose it or damage it, I don't really care too much. But the reason why I like this one, it's got measurements on the side, for one. For two, it's really light. So when you're doing things like TVs or anywhere where you kind of have to hold it on something, you're not gonna fatigue yourself. Also, you're not gonna mar up the wall. I was on this one job where I borrowed one like this, but it was made of metal, and I put it up against the wall and I was trying to level it out, and I got some marring on the finish, and I had to touch it up with paint, so it was literally a waste of my time. So get yourself a decent level. I mean, there's like $200 levels out there. This was like 12 bucks. It works. Obviously, the more expensive ones are gonna be a lot nicer and possibly more accurate, but get yourself a good level, and if you can, get it with the measurements on there. And then last but not least, I put this on the list, and this is my Tough Built belt. Not because I love this by any means, but mostly because it comes in handy. So if you're doing camera installs or lights, or you're up on a ladder doing, maybe like fixing a roof or something, and you just need to throw some stuff in there, this is great. I just got some gloves in here and some different writing utensils, a battery bank, a window punch. I also got pepper spray and a light in here, and the reason why is I leave this wrapped around the headrest in my car, and I could pull all this stuff out in seconds and convert this into a bag just specific to the job I'm on. So it's another great tool to have that there's really like no substitute. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. If you got questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments, and we'll see you guys on the next one.